samsaradava nalalidaloka tranaya karuna gana ganatvam
samsaradava nalalidaloka tranaya karuna gana ganatam
praptasya kalyana gunanavasya vande guru shri charanaravinam
praptasya kalyana gunanavasya vande guru shri charanaravinam
Mahaprabhu kirtana nitya gita vaditra madhyan manasorasena
Mahaprabhu kirtana nitya gita vaditra madhyan manasorasena
romancha kampa shutarangavajo vande guru shri charanaravinam
romancha kampa sutarangavajo vande guru shri charanaravinam
shri vigrahara dhananityanana shringarathan mandiramarjanado
Nanitanana Singaratan Mandiramajanado
yuktasya bhaktam saniyunjatapi vande guru shri charanaravinam
Yuktasya bhaktam saniyunjatapi vande guru shri charanaravinam
chaturvida shri bhagavad prasada swadana triptan haribaksha sangram
chaturvida shri bhagavad prasada swadana triptan haribhakta sangam
Ritraiva triptim bhajata sadaiva vande guru shri charanaravinam
Vivaiva triptim bhajata sadaiva vande guru shri charanaravinam
Shri Radhika Madhavayurabhara Madhurya Leela Ganarupanamnam
Shri Radhika Madhavayurabhara Madhurya Leela Gunarupanamnam
Pratikshanasvadanalolupasya Vande Guru Shri Charanaravinam
Patikshanasa Dhanalupasa Vande Guru Shri Charanaravinam
Vande Guru Shri Charanaravinam Vande Guru Shri Charanaravinam
Vande Guru Shri Charanaravinam Vande Guru Shri Charanaravinam
Nikunjayono Rati Kheli Siddhar Yayali Vir Yukti Rapikshaniya
Nikunjayona Ratikari Siddhai Dayali Vijakti Apekshaniya
Tatrati Dakshal Ati Vallavasya Vande Guru Shri Charanaravinam
Ativalabhasa Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam
Sakshadaриtvena samasta shastre uktastatha bhavyata eva sadhi
Sakshadaritana samasta shasri Uktastathava yataiva sarve
Kinto prabhorya priya eva tasya Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam
Kintu Prabhu Japiya Evatasa Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam
Yasya prasada bhagavat prasado Yasya prasada nagati kudapi
Yasya Prasada Bhagava Prasada Yasya Prasada Nagati Kutapi
Jayam stuvam stasa yasatrisanyam Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam
Jayam Tuvam Tassa Yasashri Sandham Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam
Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam
Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam
Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine
Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutane Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine
Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Pastyatya Deshatarine
Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavani Patyatya Deshatarine
Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya
Chaitanya
Prabhu Nityananda
Nityananda
Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya Shri Krishna
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna
Krishna
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare
Hare Hare
Hare Rama
Rama
Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare
Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare
Hare
Hare.
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Jaya Radha Nila Madhava, Radha Nila Madhava, Radhe.
Jaya Radha Nila Madhava, Radha Nila Madhava, Radhe.
Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Shri Radhe.
Jaya Radhe,
Jai Radhe.
Jaya Radhe, Jaya Shri Radhe.
Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Shri Radhe.
Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Shri Radhe.
Jaya Jagannatha, Jaya Baladeva, Jaya Subhadra Ma, Jaya Sudarshan Chakra.
Jaya Jagannatha, Jaya Baladeva, Jaya Subhadrama, Jaya Sudarshan Chakra.
Jaya Sitaram, Jaya Sitaram, Sitaram, Jaya Lakshman Hanuman.
Jaya Sitaram, 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 Jaya Lakshmana Duma.
Jaya Lakshmi Narasingha, Jaya Lakshmi Narasingha, Lakshmi Narasingha, Jaya Lakshmi Narasingha.
Jaya Lakshmi Narasingha, Jaya Lakshmi Narasingha, Lakshmi Narasingha, Jaya Lakshmi Narasingha.
Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai.
Jaya Gauranita, 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 Jaya Gauranita.
Jaya Prabhupada,
जय विष्णुपार परम सप्रवाचकाचार्य स्तोत्र सरशिशिमारिस्कौन प्रतिष्ठा विविधि संस्थापकाचार्य वैष्णव शिरोमणि गौर प्रिय जन कृष्ण प्रेम भक्ति दत्त पतित पावन इस डिवाइन ग्रेस अभचरविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी महाराज श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। श्री गौरी गुरु वर्ग पतित उद्धार की जय। श्री रूप सनातन भद्र गुनाथ श्री जीव गोपाल भक्त दास गुण सत गोस्वामी प्रभु की जय। नामाचार्य शील हरिदास ठाकुर जी की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासारि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। परम दयाल श्री नित्यानंद प्रभु की जय। प्रेम नाम संकीर्तन एक जनाक प्रेम पुरुषोत्तम श्री सच्चिनंदन स्मन गौरंग चैतन्य महाप्रभु गौर हरि महावृणावतार की जय। गोलोकेर प्रमधान हरिनाम संकीर्तन जय की जय। जुग धर्म हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की जय। बृहद दांग ट्रांसेंडेंटल बुक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन सेवा की जय। श्री शिव राधा कृष्ण गोपना राधा कुंड श्याम कुंड गिरिराज गोवर्धन की जय। श्री ब्रजभूमि वृंदावन मथुर धाम की जय। देलोशिप श्री शिवराज नीलमाधव की जय। श्री मायापुर नवद्वीप एक चक्र धाम की जय। परम करुण श्री गौर निताय की जय। श्री पुरुषोत्तम कित्र जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय। श्री श्री जगन्नाथ स्वामी बलदेव प्रभु श्रीमती सुभद्रा देवी सुदर्शन चक्र भगवान की जय। जय गंगा माई जमुना माई की जय। तुलसी महारानी वृंद देवी भक्ति देवी की जय। बोलो श्री मथुरा रानी की जय। समवेत भक्त वृंद की निताय गौरी प्रमानंदे हरि बोल। All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories, all glories, all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga.
नमस्ते नरसिंहाया
Namaste Narasimhaya.
प्रहलादलाददायिने
Praladadadadayine.
हिरण्यकाशीपूर्वक्षः
Hiranyakasipuvaksha.
शिलटङ्कानकालाये
Silatankanakalaye.
इतो नरसिंहा परतो नरसिंहा
Ito nisinga parato nisinga.
यतो यतो यामि ततो नरसिंहा
Jaya jata jata jami tato nisinga.
बहिर्नरसिंहो हृदये नरसिंहो
Bahir nisinga hrudaye nisinga.
नरसिंहमदिं शरणं प्रपदे
Narasimhamadim sharana prapade.
तव करकमलवरे नाकाम् अद्भुतसिंगां दलिता हिरण्यकशिपु तनुभृङ्गां केशवधृता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे
Baba Prada Kamala Bare Advaita Singha Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanavinga Kesavadita Radirupa Jai Jagadisha Re Jai Jagadisha Re Jai Jagadisha Re
केशवदीता नरहरि रूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे
Jaya Kesavadrita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadish Hare Jai Jagadish Hare Jai Jagadish Hare
जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव
Jaya Nisingare 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 Jaya Nisingare
जय भक्त प्रहलाद जय भक्त प्रहलाद जय भक्त प्रहलाद जय भक्त प्रहलाद
Jaya Bhakta Prahlad Prahlad Maharaj Bhakta Prahlad Jaya Prahlad Maharaj
निताय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल
Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Hari
नरसिंहदेव भगवान की
Jai
भक्त शिरोमणि प्रहलाद महाराज की
Jai
शील प्रभुपाद की
Jai Shri Vrindai Tulasi Devai Priyai Kesava Satya Vishnu Bhakti Prade Devi Shatavatai Namo Namaha Vrindai Tulasi Devai Priyai Kesava Satya Vishnu Bhakti Prade Devi Shatavatai Namo Namaha Vrindayai Tulasi Devai Priyai Kesava Satya Krishna Bhakti Prade Devi Satyavatai Namo Namaha Jai Shrimati Tulasi Maharani Vrinda Devi Ki Jai
Namo Namaha Tulasi Krishna Priyasi Namo Namaha
Tulasi Krishna Priyasi Namo Namaha
Radha Krishna Seva Pao Ei Abhilashi Radha Krishna Seva Pao Ei Abhilashi
Radha Krishna Seva Pava Hey Abhilasi
જે તમારા શરણ લો તારા વંશા પૂર્ણ હો
જે તમારા શરણ તારા પંચ પૂર્ણ
કૃપા કોરી કરો તારે વૃંદાવન વાસી
तुम्हें कृपा करे करता रे वृंदावन वासी
मोरा एया बिलास कुंज दियो वा
मोराए या बिलास कुंज दियावा
नयने हरि बो सदा युगल रूपरासी
अमिनायने रिवो सदा जुगल रूपरासी
ऐ निवेदन धारो सखीरनुगत करो सेवाधिकार दिए करो निज दासी दीना कृष्ण दास कोई ऐ दीना मोरा होए श्री राधा गोविंदा प्रेम सदा इन भासी श्री राधा गोविंद प्रेम सदा न भासी ज्ञानी कानी च पापानि ब्रह्मत्यादिकानि च तनि तानि प्रणश्यन्ति प्रदक्षिण पदे पदे ज्ञानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्मत्यादिकानि च तनि तानि प्रणश्यन्ति प्रदक्षिण पदे पदे
ज्ञानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्मत्यादिकानि च तनि तानि प्रणश्यन्ति प्रदक्षिण पदे पदे
ज्ञानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्महत्यादिकानि च तानि तानि प्रणश्यन्ति प्रदक्षिण पदे पदे
ज्ञानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्मत्यादिकानि च तानि तानि प्रणश्यन्ति प्रदक्षिण पदे पदे
हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय तुलसी महारानी जय तुलसी महारानी जय तुलसी महारानी जय तुलसी महारानी
तुलसी महारानी जय तुलसी महारानी तुलसी महारानी जय तुलसी महारानी
जय वृंदा देवी जय वृंदा देवी जय वृंदा देवी जय वृंदा देवी
जय वृंदा देवी जय वृंदा देवी वृंदा देवी जय वृंदा देवी
नित्य गौर हरि बोल नित्य गौर हरि बोल
नित्य गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल नित्य गौर हरि बोल श्री Tulasi Devi Priya Kesava Satya Vishnu Bhakti Prade Devi Satabhatai Namo Namaha. Vrindai Tulasi Devi Priya Kesava Satya Vishnu Bhakti Prade Devi Satabhatai Namo Namaha. Vrindai Tulasi Devi Priya Kesava Satya Krishna Bhakti Prade Devi Satabhatai Namo Namaha. Jeshmati Tulasi Maharani Brinda Devi Ki Jai. O Tulasi, beloved Krishna, I bow before you again and again. My desire to obtain the service of Shri Radha and Krishna, whoever takes shelter of his wishes fulfilled, bestow your mercy upon him, you make him resident of Vrindavana. My desire is that you also grant me a residence of pleasure grove. Thus, within my vision, I will always behold the beautiful pastimes of Radha and Krishna. I beg you to make me a follower of your redemptions of right. Please give me the privilege of personal service and make me your own maidservant. This very fallen and lowly servant of Krishna praise. May I always sing love Shri Radha and Govindan. Shri Mati Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi Ki Jai. Let's consider the 10 offenses. Again, the chanting of the holy name of the Lord that should be avoided. They are as follows. 1. Blasphemy devotees who dedicate a life for propagating the holy name of the Lord. 2. To consider names, demigods, the Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma to be equal to or independent of the name Lord Vishnu. 3. To disobey the orders of the spiritual master. 4. To blaspheme the Vedic scriptures or scriptures in pursuance of Vedic version. 5. Much of the glory of chanting Hare Krishna to be imagination. 6. To give some interpretation to the holy name of the Lord. 7. To commit sinful activities on the strength of chanting the holy name. 8. To consider the chanting of Hare Krishna one of the auspicious ritualistic activities which are offered in Vedas as fruitive activity, karma kanda. 9. To instruct the fearless person about the glories of the holy name. And 10. To not have complete faith in chanting the holy names and to maintain material attachments, even after understanding so many instructions on this matter. It is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. Every devotee who claims to be Vaishnava must carefully guard against 10 offenses in order to quickly achieve the desired success. Krishna Prema. Now let us offer our most humble obeisances unto all the Vaishnavas, devotees of the Lord. They are just like desire trees. They can fulfill the desires of everyone. They are full of compassion for the fallen, conditioned souls. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyaiva cha paritanam bhavanebhyo vaishnavibhyo namo namaha. Jayananta Kuchi Vaishnavrindi Ki Jai. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Shikhastakam Ki Jai. Chaito Darpanam Arjanam Bhava Mahadavagni Nirvapanam Shreyakari Vachandrika Vitaranam Vidya Badhu Jivanam Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam Pratipadam Purnamrita Shradanam Sarvatmasnam Param Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam Namnamakari Vaudha Nija Sarva Shaktis Tatrarpita Niyamita Shmarane Nakala Itadrishi Taba Kripaya Bhagavan Mamapi Durdhaivam idrishamya janina nuraga Trinadapi sunichena Tarorapi saishnuna Amanina manadena Kirtaniya sada hari Na dhanam na janam na sundarim Kavitam vaja garishaka amaye Mama janmani janmaneshwari Bhavatar bhakti rahituki tvayi Ainandatanuja kinkaram Paritama visame bhavam buddho Kripaya tava pada pankaja Stita dhuli sadrisham vichintaya Nayanam galora shrudharaya Vadanam gadgadarudhaya gira Pulakairi chitam vapukada Tava nama grahane bhavisyati Juga itam nimishena Chakyusa prarusa itam Shunya itam jagata sarvam Govinda virahe name Aslishva padaratam pinashtumam Adashnar marmahatam karotuva Jata tathava vidadhatulam pato Mat pranathastu saivana para Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Shri Krishna Kam Ki Jai. Namo Mahavarannaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gauratvishe Namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devam Gauravani Pracharine Nivishesha Shunnavadi Pachatyari Satarine. Glory to the Shri Krishna Sankirtana, which cleanses the heart over the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large, because it sprays the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss and enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we're always anxious. O my Lord, your holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings, and thus you have hundreds, millions of names like Krishna and Govind. In these transcendental names, you have invested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. O my Lord, out of kindness, you enable us to easily approach you by holy names, but I'm so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them. Once you chant the holy name of the Lord in humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than straw in the street, one should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respect to others. In such state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service birth after birth. O son of Maharaj Nanda Krishna, I am your eternal servitor. Yes, some or other I have fallen in this ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at the lotus feet. O my Lord, when will my eyes will be decorated with tears of love, flowing constantly with a chant of holy name? When will my voice choke up, and will the hairs of my body stand on the end of the recitation of your name? O Govinda, feeling your separation, I am considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I'm feeling all vacant in the world in your absence. I know no one but Krishna is my Lord, and it should remain so. If he sandals me roughly by his embrace, or makes me broken-hearted by not present before me, he is completely free to do anything and everything, for he is always my worshipful Lord unconditionally. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Shri Krishna Kam Ki Jai. Shri Guru Vandana, Guru Pranam, Mangala Charan Ki. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakyurmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manovistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swaparantikam Bandeham Shri Guru Shri Jotapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Cha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatha Vintam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakambhitam Cha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Namine Namaste Saraswati Devim Gauravani Pracharine Nivrishesha Shunyavadi Pasyatari Shatarine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Iti Namine Shri Varshabhanavi Devi Daitaya Kripavdaye Krishna Sambandha Vijnana Daine Prabhave Namaha Madhurjo Jala Premadhya Shri Rupanuga Bhaktida Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namostute Namaste Gauravane Shri Murtaye Dinatarine Rupanuga Viruddhapo Siddhanta Dvantaharine Namagora Kishoraya Sakchavera Murtaye Vipralambhara Sambhode Paramujayate Namaha Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Satchit Anandanamine Gaura Shakti Swarupaya Rupanuga Varayate Gaura Virbhava Bhumitsvam Nirdesha Sajana Priya Vaishnava Sarvabhuma Sri Jagannathayate Namaha Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyaivacha Paritanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavarannaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gaura Tvishte Namaha Panchatattamakam Krishna Bhakta Rupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataro Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakti Shaktikam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanto Namostute Jayatam Suratupangor Mama Manda Matirgati Masarvasya Parambujo Radha Madana Mohano Divya Vindaranya Kalpadumadha Shmara Nagara Shingasanastu Shmaradha Shila Govinda Devo Prishtali Vishevamano Shmarami Shmanra Sarasarambi Bamshvato Tatasita Karshan Venu Swanar Gopir Gopinata Shriyestuna Tapta Kanchana Gorangi Radhe Vrindavanishwari Rusabhanu Suti Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Jai Shri Guru Pranam Mangala Charan Ki Jai Gaura Pranam
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutali Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Tanamani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gurvani Pracharini Nirvisesa Sunyapadi Paskati Disatani Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhupada Shri Vitikadhara Sivasa Guru Bhaktivindam Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Guru Premanandi Hari Bol. So today we're going to continue in this wonderful lecture that Prabhupada gave, where he has asked 25 questions by these two ladies, and he answers them in a very brilliant, wonderful way. And I'm just going to go over the questions first real quickly, and then we'll finish what we didn't discuss yesterday. So the first question is, what is Krishna consciousness? And the second question is, how did Krishna consciousness develop? And the third question is, what is the difference between Krishna consciousness and Christ consciousness? And the fourth question is, what is unique about Krishna consciousness that separates it from all other religions? And then number 5, how does one know a bona fide spiritual master that can lead someone or educate someone who teaches these things, how to know God and how to love God? And number 6, are there different paths that one can learn to love God? How to love God? Number 7, what are the methods used in the training of Krishna consciousness? Transformations does one undergo on the path of Krishna consciousness? Number 9, does one function better in society as a result of affiliation with Krishna consciousness? Number 10, do all desires have to go, including the desire for Krishna consciousness? Number 11, the aim of many spiritual paths is to find the Guru within. Okay, so then Prabhupada answers that. Number 12, can the Vedas be taken symbolically? Number 13, are you attempting to revive the ancient Indian caste system in the West? Number 14, how do you feel about women's liberation? Number 15, can women know Krishna? Number 16, how do you deal with negativity? Number 17, after bad contacts one feels drained, how do you replenish yourself? Number 18, speak about the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Number 19, please tell about your life. Number 20, when did your guru tell you to preach? 21, it appears your disciples treat you like God. 22, can you see people from other planets? Number 23, what about the deities? Number 24, how do you get so much strength and vigor? And number 25, what does Krishna consciousness offer people more than other religions? Well, that was already asked previously, but they asked it again. Okay, so these are the 25 questions, and we covered a lot of them, not all of them, and we'll finish covering them. But you see, these are the type of questions that people ask, so it's good to be ready to answer them. That means that you're actually a good preacher. Most people in Krishna consciousness can answer them, but it's good to know the exact answers that Prabhupada gave. 'Cause otherwise, sometimes we might make mistakes or mislead people because we've never been challenged so directly. If you go on Sankirtan, you're challenged every day, but not everybody comes on Sankirtan, so it's good to know how to answer these 25 questions. Okay, so yesterday we got to the point where we'll go over a few again. Okay. Does one function better in society as a result of affiliation with Krishna consciousness? So, Prabhupada says, you can see practically these young men and women, they're not drunkards, they're not meat eaters. And from a health point of view, they're very clean. They'll never be attacked with so many diseases that normal people are attacked with. Then they do not eat meat. It means because meat is the most sinful thing, to kill others for the satisfaction of the tongue. God has given to human society so many nice things, nice fruits, nice flowers, nice grains, etc. First class milk. And from milk you can prepare hundreds of nutritious foods. But most people don't know the art. They are maintaining big slaughterhouses and eating meat with no discrimination. This means they are not even civilized. When man is not civilized, he kills one animal and eats because he does not know how to grow food. Just like we have got one farmland in New Vrindavan. So we are preparing first-class preparations from milk. The neighbors, they come, they're astonished. that from milk such nice preparations can be made, hundreds. So that means they're not even civilized. How to prepare nutritious food from milk? Milk, accepting that cow flesh and blood is very nutritious. That we also admit. But a civilized man utilizes the blood and meat in a different way. The milk is nothing but blood, but it is transformed into milk. And again, from milk, you make so many things. You make yogurt, you make curd, you make ghee, and so many things. So in other words, you make yogurt, you make cheese, you make ghee, and the combination of milk products with grains and fruits and vegetables, you similarly make hundreds of preparations. So this is civilized life. Not to directly kill one animal and eat it. This is uncivilized life. You are accepting the cow's flesh and blood because they are nutritious, but you should take it in a civilized way. See how beautiful Prabhupada can preach. And if we learn how to present things like him, you will be successful. And if we deviate from that and make things up on our own, we'll be a failure, and you won't be able to convince anybody. So Prabhupada says, what do you say? Is that civilization? And the lady says, oh, I agree 100%. I want you to say these things, though, instead of me. I am asking you questions so that hopefully I do not have to explain anything. That's what the lady said. Prabhupada continues. So these things are uncivilized way of life. So what will such people understand about God? That is not possible. I am asking, okay, and then the lady says, I am asking these questions for others, of course, that other people who don't understand Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada. To understand God means one must be first-class civilized person. Just like the university is meant for first-class students. Similarly, God consciousness means it is meant for the first-class human being. Okay, so that is the end of that discussion, of that particular discussion. Now, that was number 9. And number 10, the lady says, okay, this question's a hard one for me to ask because it shows ignorance on my part. But I'm not asking it in ignorance. I want your answer on tape, okay? Does all desire ultimately have to go, including the desire to attain Krishna consciousness? Now, why is she asking this? Let's just stop there for a second. Why would she ask such a question? Because she has been misled by Mayavadis, who say that all desires have to be finished and one should kill the ego. So, therefore, she's asking such a question. Do all desires ultimately have to go, including the desire to attain Krishna consciousness? Prabhupada's answer. Without Krishna consciousness, you will have simply rubbish desires. And when you are Krishna conscious, then you desire rightly. So that was a short answer. But you could say a lot more about this, but Prabhupada doesn't beat around the bush. He just says, without Krishna consciousness, you will simply have rubbish desires. And when you are Krishna conscious, then you desire rightly. Okay, then the next question. The aim of many spiritual paths is to find the Guru within. Prabhupada says, within? With a question mark? The Guru within? Who says that, to find Guru within? And then one devotee says, Kripal Singh. He's one person who says that. So he's some kind of a Punjabi guru he's sort of an offshoot of Sikhism. And then another devotee says, Krishnamurti says that also. So why does he come? So Prabhupada says, so therefore, why does he come to preach? If he says Guru is within, and then everyone starts laughing. This rascal, why does he come to preach? Prabhupada says, these things are spoken by rascals. He has come to teach, and he says, find out Guru within. So why should you listen to whatever he says, in other words? Because if the Guru is within, why do you need him? Then why you have come to teach? Because people are not intelligent. They cannot catch him. In other words, he's saying, because people have not been educated properly, they can't catch a person who's deviating from Vedic knowledge, who's making something who's purporting something speculative out of his own imagination. Prabhupada, he talks all nonsense, and they hear. That's all. And the devotee says, he has also written a book about no books are needed. Everybody starts laughing. And Prabhupada says, so you can find out how rascal he is it not? Do you admit or do you not admit? He writes book and he says, there is no need of books. He has come to teach and he says, there's no need of teacher. Guru is within. Teacher is within. Is he not a rascal? Then someone tries to say something, and Prabhupada says, no. First of all, you answer my question. If he says contradictory things, is he not a rascal? Okay, then the lady says, well, he's contradicting himself. Prabhupada. Therefore he is rascal. He does not know how to defend his statements. Okay, then the lady goes to another question. So you see how Prabhupada immediately caught the anomaly and didn't let go of it. And then the lady had to agree. So she goes on to another question. Can the Vedas be taken symbolically as well as literally? Prabhupada. As it is. We are presenting Bhagavad Gita as it is, not symbolically. Okay, so that's a very important answer because this has been the dilemma in modern times where people think that they have the right to speculate and to make up their own religion. And there are so many different sects now in Islam, in Christianity, in Judaism, in Sikhism, in Jainism, in Buddhism. There are many subsets or subsects of these religions. So which one has the truth and which one has deviated, it takes a little time to understand that. But in case of Prabhupada in Bhagavad Gita, he says, this is Bhagavad Gita as it is, not as I would like it to be or I wish it was. And what is the proof? Well, if you read Prabhupada's purports and translation of Bhagavad Gita, you come to the same conclusion as Arjuna did 5,000 years ago, that I should surrender to the Lord and follow his instructions. Now Arjuna was not willing to do that in the beginning, but after hearing all Krishna's explanations of his questions, he surrendered to the Lord. That means if you come to the same conclusion as Arjuna, that means you've read Bhagavad Gita. And the Bhagavad Gita you read is actually bona fide. Well, then let's look what happened in history. From the 16th century on, there were translations of Bhagavad Gita in English. And until Prabhupada's translation came out in 1969, not one person who read all those other Bhagavad Gitas became a devotee. Not one. There was one German guy who came to India looking for spiritual enlightenment, and he met Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and he surrendered to him. But all the translations of the Bhagavad Gita didn't lead anybody to become a real devotee. Now, in the 19th century, there were some American philosophers and poets who spoke about Bhagavad Gita, as Emerson and Thoreau and others who read Bhagavad Gita and talked about it, but they never actually became devotees. But they had some appreciation for Bhagavad Gita. But it was only when Prabhupada's translation of Bhagavad Gita, as it is, was published and distributed, did people actually become devotees. And another thing that happened was Vrindavan, before Prabhupada started preaching in the West, was not such a, let's say, prominent place. The Taj Mahal was very prominent, so everyone would drive past Vrindavan to go see the Taj Mahal, but they wouldn't go to Vrindavan. And some Indians would come, obviously, but no Westerners were interested in Vrindavan. But after Prabhupada's books started being distributed, many people became interested in going to Vrindavan. And that interest is just increasing now more and more. When the first time I went to Vrindavan, it was a very small village that was more or less, I mean, if I didn't read Prabhupada's books, I would have never gone to Vrindavan. Never in a million years. And there were hardly any cars in Vrindavan, maybe one or two. There were a lot of small temples and a few big ones. But, I didn't understand anything. Everyone was speaking in Hindi anyway. And the whole thing was foreign to a foreigner. But because of Prabhupada, I became interested in Vrindavan. I actually went there, even though at that time, like I said, there was hardly even one car in Vrindavan. Everything was being transported by tungas and rickshaws and things like that. And you hardly saw any Western people. Very few Western people. And those few Western people were devotees. Right? At that time, the temple was not finished yet, the Krishna Balaram temple. So it was hard to stay there. But once it was established, and as the Sankirtan movement expanded, thousands, hundreds of thousands of people have become interested in Vrindavan. And some people regret that it's so popular because they're building these condos all over the place now in Vrindavan. But anyway, it's become a very important, let's say, desirable place to visit. And you have people from all over the world going there now. And that's all because of Prabhupada. Nobody else made it so popular. None of the Gaudiya Math people made it popular like that. It was Prabhupada that spread this movement all throughout the world. So that's a very important thing to understand. Prabhupada says, he has also written a book about no books are needed. Everybody laughs. So you can find out how rascal he is it not? Do you admit or not? He writes a book and he says there's no need of books. He has come to teach and he says there's no need of teacher. Teacher is within. Is he not a rascal? No. First of all, you answer my question. If he says contradictory things, is he not a rascal? Therefore, he is contradicting himself. He is a rascal. He does not know how to defend himself. So, you see, this is very important. Prabhupada can catch these things right away. But unless we have a clear understanding of these 25 questions that are being asked by these ladies and understand and know how to answer in the same way as Prabhupada, we will never be a convincing preacher. That's why I'm going over this. If you understand these 25 questions, which are good questions, and you understand the answers by Prabhupada, you will be an effective and very, let's say, bona fide preacher of Krishna consciousness. Okay, so then she asked the question, can the Vedas be taken symbolically as well as literally? Prabhupada says, we are presenting Bhagavad Gita as it is, not symbolically. Right? That's why all those other Bhagavad Gitas that were written before Prabhupada's, translated and published before Prabhupada's, none of them were able to inspire people to become devotees. They would read it, they might use some quote from it, but they were not serious about devotional service. One example of that, see, now this German guy, when he came to India, and he fortunately met the Gaudiya Math people, this is in the 1930s, they asked him, why did you come to India? He said, well, I'm coming from Germany. Germany has made a lot of technical and advancement through science, and they have emulated different yogic powers. So yogis can fly through the air. Now we can fly through the air in very good airplanes. It's the 1930s. And he said, and they can walk on water. Well, we can walk on water too with a boat, right? And they can go underneath the water. Well, we go underneath the water also now with submarines, and so forth. He said, so the West has more or less achieved these yogic powers, but mechanically. He said, but I was interested to see what is the, what is the conception of God in India. Right? So he said, and I visited a lot of temples, but when I visited the Krishna temple, I saw something that I didn't see in the other temples. So they asked him, what was that? He said, well, the other temples, whether it's Durga or Shiva or Surya or this one or that one, they all have to do something. But when I came to the Krishna temple, I saw Krishna just plays the flute and dances, and Radharani is making nice prasadam for him. He said, I saw this has to be God because he doesn't have to do anything like that, right? He said, especially when I saw Durga, she has all these weapons in her arms. She's killing people, and their blood is being drunk. She said, he said, that to me is not God. But when I saw Krishna, then I realized he has to be God because he doesn't have to do anything. He's just enjoying. So you see, he was a smart guy, and he got initiated by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and he's a god brother of Prabhupada. Right? So, but now let's compare him to Einstein. Einstein also went to India. Einstein also went to Calcutta. Did you know that? Yeah. But instead of meeting Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he went to meet Rabindranath Tagore, who's a nonsense, who's a Mayavadi. And he was very impressed by him. You see, because he didn't have he committed too many sins, right? He didn't have the, what do you call that well, yeah, mercy, but, okay, I'll think of the word in a second, a Sanskrit word. He didn't have what it takes to meet someone like Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, the caliber of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who could have answered all his questions. But he meets the Mayavadi, who's a nonsense, basically, a famous nonsense, and he misses the opportunity. Well, that's close, yeah. very close. So you see what happens when you have he goes to a place where he can meet someone who can instruct him correctly in God consciousness, but he doesn't meet him. He meets another person who's going to mislead him, and he's very attracted to that person, and he's very inspired by that person. So he never really achieved Krishna consciousness in his lifetime, although he's supposed to be the smartest guy in the world. Okay, so and this is the whole point. The idea that you can symbolically look at things in the Bhagavad Gita, or you can interpret them, or you can speculate, all that is a violation of Krishna consciousness, and you'll get nowhere with that. You'll end up with nothing except bad karma. Okay. So the next question is, are you attempting to revive the ancient Indian caste system in the West? So, I mean, we read this yesterday, but I want to read it again. He says, where did you find, or where have you found that we are reviving the caste system? Where do you find this? First of all, let me know why you are asking this question. If you have seen that we are trying to introduce the Indian caste system, then your question is valid. But if there's no such attempt, why are you asking this question? And the lady says, well, because a lot of people are interested, and Prabhupada. No, a lot of people. You're also one of them. So where do you find that we are trying to do this? Introduce the caste system. First of all, find out where is the attempt. Then you can ask the question. Otherwise, it is irrelevant question. The Gita mentions the caste system. Gita. He said, do you know? No, she said, I don't know. He says, oh, I've heard that there are 4 castes and an untouchable caste. But Prabhupada says, what is that? On the basis of what? She said, I can't directly say. So then Prabhupada says, Chaturvayam Mayashristam Gunakarma Vibhagasaha, 4th chapter, 13th verse. According to quality and according to work, there are 4 divisions of men. Just like you can understand, there are engineers and there are medical practitioners. So, do you take them as caste? Oh, he is engineer caste, he is medical caste. Do you say like that? And then she said, well, I don't want to say what I feel because I'm recording you. I'm asking you. Well, I think there's always been caste. It's just that we don't recognize the fact that they are there. So then Prabhupada says, Prabhupada says, no. Recognize means if a man is qualified medical man, we accept him as medical man. And if a man is qualified as an engineer, we accept him as an engineer. Similarly, Bhagavad Gita suggests, not suggests, it is there. There are 4 classes of men. The most intelligent class of men, the administrator class of men, the productive class of men, and ordinary workers. That is already there. Bhagavad Gita says how they should be classified. That he belongs to this class, he belongs to that class. That is described in Bhagavad Gita. Not that by birth, hereditarily, one assumes a caste. You don't try to misunderstand. The classification is already there. One class of men, very intelligent. Is he not there in the human society? Do you think all men are equally intelligent? Do you think? There must be one class, very highly intelligent class. So what are the symptoms of the intelligent class? That is described in the Bhagavad Gita. See, the whole idea that the caste system, everyone has a misconception, is based on a person's birth and their work. But that's not the Vedic system. That's not what it's all about. It's all about these symptoms that cannot be ignored. So the first class people are intelligent, and now Prabhupada explains it. He says, the first class man is he who can control his mind, who can control his senses, who is very truthful, very clean, very simple, very tolerant, very advanced in knowledge, and practical. And the practical application of that knowledge in life, and with staunch faith in God. This is the first class man. Well, that eliminates Einstein and about many other people that are considered so-called intelligent. So it is not within India. This is not only for India. So wherever you find all these qualities, he is first class man. So we are trying to introduce that. So you see, it's not the caste system that is portrayed in textbooks today that our kids have to study. They have these, textbooks that talk about different religions in the world, and the classification of, or when it talks about Hinduism, well, they have a caste system, and it's based on birth and work, and there's a lot of inequalities in it, blah 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 blah. But that's not the caste system. That's a deviation from the caste system. Now he's explaining what is a real caste system. And the caste system is all over the world. It's not just in India. But the real caste system, there is such a thing as a real intelligent person. And he just defined it. So therefore, the Bhagavad Gita defines the 4 different classes of people in the world according to guna and karma. It has nothing to do with heredity or birth. So he says, the first class intelligent man is he who can control his mind, who can control his senses, who is very truthful, very clean, very simple, very tolerant, very advanced in knowledge and practical application of knowledge in life, and has also staunch faith in God. This is first class man. So it is not within India. It's not only in India. Wherever you find all these qualities, he is first class man. So we are trying to introduce this, that without first class men, the society is useless. Well, yeah. I mean, we've seen, Reagan, and then Obama, and then Bush, and then Obama, and then Trump, and now Crazy Joe. These are not first-class men. Right? Of all those 5, Reagan was probably the best, but he also made mistakes, but he also had bad habits. So he was not really a real intelligent person. So because we don't have really intelligent first-class persons who are in positions of power in this country, there are problems. The problems, every time we think, well, we'll vote this guy in and he'll solve all the problems, and he promises, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. But he comes in and he makes a mess also. Like, for example, you have an open border. And the whole Mexican border in America is completely open. People are walking in. I mean, you had to go through, a medical examination. You had to have your visa approved. You had to prove you don't have COVID, and this thing and that thing. It wasn't easy for you to get into this country, even when you're in the country. It's not easy to get a permanent stay, permit. You have to go through all these problems, and it costs money also. There's people just walking in. There's no medical. There's nothing. They can be criminals, and they're walking into this country now. Massive numbers of them, millions. It's not hundreds and thousands. It's millions, right? So, is that we're protecting the border of Ukraine? We're protecting other countries' borders, right? But we're not protecting our own border. Does that make sense? So we have crazy people running this country. And that's only one point that's crazy. There are many other points of craziness that we can go through a list of them. In fact, I want to make up that list. And you can see this is completely insane. Yeah.
In India, the caste system was mostly deviated in terms of the birth, but at least the emphasis was that the top class should be the Brahmana class. Is it safe to assume that in Western world, at least anybody can, based on their, not by birth, but based on their qualifications, they are able to pick at least the three of the four aspects, like either right work, right entrepreneurship, or like Vaishyas, and then the administrative class. But there is the Brahmana class that is missing. As a result, even though the other three are by meritorious, are based on the qualifications by birth, by guna and karma, but the first class is missing. That's why the system is broken. Is that?
They're all broken, Prabhu. Don't forget, they have to have staunch faith in God to be first class. No, the others also have to have faith in God. Otherwise, why would they follow Sanatana Dharma? Okay, they do have some material qualities. Just like one time when I joined the movement, and then quickly I was made president of the temple. There was no temple, but I was president of something, right? So, and then the Tamal Krishna Maharaj explained to Prabhupada, oh, he's a highly qualified person to be a leader. So Prabhupada explained, he said, well, he might be very good in material things, but that's not the qualification to be a leader in our movement. You have to be spiritually qualified. So even the lower class, or so-called lower caste, they all have to be spiritually qualified. Or at least they have to believe in God. Right? Otherwise, they're going to fall short of the qualification to have such a position like that. So materially they may be qualified, but as long as they're not spiritually qualified, they'll make many mistakes, just like the Brahmanas who are not completely qualified. They're making mistakes, and then the other castes will make mistakes too. So you have to see what he did here. This is brilliant. This lady has a very parochial understanding of caste, right? She's been misled by all the nonsense Mayavadis. And he's trying to explain to her, look, God says there are four social positions, right? The Brahmanas, the Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and the Sudras, and explains them. This is intelligent class, this is administrative class, this is productive class, this is worker class, right? But then he explains in depth. I mean, she didn't let him actually finish that discussion. He didn't get to the other three, right? But the one he did talk about, the intelligent class, was pretty comprehensive. And it's not sectarian. Anyone in the world that develops these qualities of a first class Brahmana is qualified. So Prabhupada went around the world and made devotees in Africa, he made devotees in Australia and Russia and China and the United States and Canada and South America, and some of them actually became bona fide first class people, brahmanas. And because of that, they became capable of convincing many other people to become devotees and to train them. Right? So this is a universal thing. This four divisions of society goes all the way up to the heavenly planets. It's not just on the earth, right? So just like the four universal principles of religiosity, that is valid all over the universe, right? And this is something we don't understand because we're so used to the speculative, let's say, speculative narrative that's everywhere present, in books, in television, in seminars, all over the place. It's this speculative approach to knowledge. So we get a little bit confused by it. What Prabhupada just did here is brilliant. It is amazing. He explains what is a genuine first-class person. It has nothing to do with birth or family. See? So we have to understand how he did it. But of course she unfortunately went on to another subject. But all right, so that's why I'm going over this, because you have to understand how brilliant Prabhupada is. He's not a sectarian person. He is universalist in every way. Okay. So now she stops him and says, well, how do you feel about the women's lib? Okay, Prabhupada, he says, well, I don't want to discuss this because, and then everybody laughs. And he says, well, since you've asked, I may explain that how foolish women are being cheated by the intelligent men. You see. And then the devotee says, Srila Prabhupada is liberating everybody who chants Hare Krishna. And Prabhupada interrupts it. They have given, in your country, they have given you liberty. Liberty means equal rights, is it not? Man and women have received equal rights. They are trying this in your country. All right, trying. But you women, you cannot see that this so-called equal right means cheating the woman. Now I say more clearly that a woman and man meet. Now they become lovers. Then they have sex, and the woman becomes pregnant. And the man goes away. The simple woman, she has to take charge of the child and beg from the government money, alms. Please give me money. Is this your independence? Do you admit this is independence? That man makes the woman pregnant and he goes away without any responsibility, and the woman cannot give up the child? She has to maintain the child, begging from the government? Or she tries to kill the child. Do you think it is a very good independence? What is your answer? And then she says, whether or not it's good to kill a child, is that the question? Yes, Prabhupada says. They are killing now, abortion. He wants to know that kind of independence. So he says, a devotee says this to the lady. He says, Prabhupada wants to know what kind of independence is this for women or for the child? And then, then Prabhupada chimes in. This is liberation. She has an affair with a man and she gets pregnant. The man leaves. Then she has to beg alms from the government to support the child or kill the child. Or she kills the child. So is that good or bad? Then the lady says, well, she has made the choice to have, then Prabhupada says, That means that is 34 ounce. Okay, now what does he mean here, 34 ounce? Well, he has said previously that women's brains are less than man's brains. So man's brain is like 60 some ounces, and women's brain is like 34 ounces. Right? So Prabhupada says that is 34 ounce. And the devotees understand what he says, so they begin to laugh. Right? You have made your choice to kill your own child. Is that good a choice? And the lady says, well, it's the worst crime you could commit. Prabhupada says, ha, her brain is getting larger. Then the devotees laugh again. Right? Do you think it is very good business? And the lady says, I think this is a very complicated question. Prabhupada, therefore I say they are cheating you in the name of independence that you do not understand. Therefore 34 ounce. They are cheating you, and you are thinking you are independent. Now, what is this what is this narrative coming from? Prabhupada is saying, look, this whole women's liberation movement that started the end of the middle and 19th century, went to the 20th century, and now has become very prominent. He's saying this was started by the men. Why? Because they wanted a way to take advantage of women and not pay the consequences. Now, this is your homework. Look up what happened in the United States when they started having abortions illegally, and then when it became legal. And you're going to see that a massive number of children are being killed. And also, the government began to subsidize women who were not married or who were divorced and who were having children with different men. And they had no money to maintain the children or educate them. So the government started giving them money. Then the government realized, wait a minute, we're encouraging people to get divorces, and we're encouraging these women to have as many kids as they can to get more money from us. Now we have to put another rule in. So they put another rule in. It's called the Hyde Rule. So look all this up. You see, Hyde. So you see, they make one rule, and then realize, whoa, they make one law, and then realize, oh, it has some consequences. So they then have to make another law to sort of limit the consequences, and then that law also creates consequences. So you see, it's just, so what's Prabhupada's point? Let's see it now. He says, therefore I say they are cheating you in the name of independence. That you do not understand. Therefore 34 ounce. They are cheating you, and you are thinking you are independent. They forget the responsibility that comes with freedom. Yes, they do not take the responsibility. They go away, they enjoy and go away. That's the men. And the woman has to take the responsibility, either kill the child or maintain by begging. Do you think begging is very good? In India, although they are poverty-stricken, still they do not remain independent. They remain under the husband, and the husband takes all responsibility. So she has neither to kill the child nor to go beg for maintaining the child. So which is independence? To remain under husband is independence, or to become free to be enjoyed by everyone? That's not where the freedom is anyway. So there is no freedom. Still they think that they have freedom. That means under some false idea. The men are cheating the women, that's all. So in the name of independence, they have agreed to be cheated by another class. This is the situation. Okay, so let's see if the statistics prove what Prabhupada is saying. That you would have to look up the original women's liberation advocates in the around 1850 to 1930s. And you'll see a lot of women's names, but there are some men behind it. And then you'll see the consequences of it. This massive abortion. First, it was done illegally, and it was called eugenics. Eugenics. What is eugenics? By the way, eugenics started in the United States, and the Nazis accepted it big time. What is eugenics? Eugenics means some people do not deserve to live because they're subhuman, although they look like human beings. So therefore, we have to abort the women that are from that class of subhumans and kill their children and stop them from having children by what do you call by destroying their womb from having children. What's the dectomy? What is it? Yeah, bisect. Yeah, yeah. So eugenics was the movement to abort children, not only abort children, but to stop women from having kids. And it started with black people in Harlem. And the face of it was Margaret Sanders, who was a big demon. She's the founder of Planned Parenthood. Yeah. So what happens is they get women's liberation, and then all of a sudden, women are having sexual relationships. I mean, before it was more difficult. There were prostitutes, but most women were protected by the husbands and the family, right? And it was hard for them to engage in illicit activities. Once they get the freedom to do it, now it's everything goes, and along with that, there's abortion, and there's contraceptives, and there's all these things because they can't stop engaging in illicit activities. And it creates other problems. Then they have to make laws like the Hyde Law that they'll only give money from the government to women who are really destitute, but if they have other benefits, they won't give them any benefits. So now they have to cheat and hide the benefits that they get. And it's created a huge number of people who are cheating the system, what you would call the welfare system in the United States. Huge cheating. There are people that come from Somalia. They figure out all the nonsense that's taking place here. Then they have different wives in different states, and from each wife, they're giving them children, and then the wives, although they're not married, right? And then the wives are getting money, and they're giving the money to the thief. It's happened many times, and they can't catch all of the people, right? They catch some every once in a while. So when you start understanding what happens when you deviate from Sanatana Dharma, it causes all these other problems, and they get out of control. And that's what's happened in this country. It's gone out of control. Okay, I'll stop right there. You see, it's very interesting, Prabhupada's point here, but we should validate it by now, do we have to validate it? No, but it's very instructive for us to see what he's saying. He's putting his finger on something that nobody else talks about like this. Right? Nobody else talks like this. But he's not afraid to put his finger on the real point.
They were only thinking about the rights, but the responsibilities naturally are different between the father and the mother. The father can walk away, but the mother is forced to either deal
Sometimes
with.
the mother walks away, and the father is stuck with the kids. That's also taking place.
No, but at least for the 9 months, the mother is.
Oh,
is
yeah, she
forced.
can't do anything,
She
yeah.
can't do anything. So that way, there is a difference between the responsibilities. So we cannot equate on the basis of.
Yeah,
a principle.
I mean, in black neighborhoods, my God, this is a normal, not normal, but it's very highly, there's a high incidence of this type of thing where a man engaged in reproductive activity, and he walks away, and he refuses to take, and they're not even married, and he refuses to take any responsibility. And so many kids grow up, I mean, without having a father, and without having proper education. And I'm going to show you examples of those kids. There's so many examples of those kids today. And it's called Varna Shankara. It's bad population. Okay, Haribol. So we'll stop right there. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. So there are 25 questions. I'm going to write this all out so you have it. And you'll be able to answer these questions like Prabhupada. Haribol. Yeah, Hyde Amendment, yeah.
It's basically protecting the federal money to pay for abortion.
Exactly. This is after they were giving it freely to everybody. And then they realized, oh my God, this is a terrible thing. These women are purposely getting divorces from their husbands so that, and having many children, and we have to support it. So then they did the Hyde Amendment, that there has to be some criterion to get that money. They're just not going to give it anymore like that freely. But then they found out other ways of cheating, very clever ways. You see. And that's why this country is going down, because the cheaters are smarter than the politicians. Politicians are cheaters also, but the cheaters are even smarter than the politician cheaters.
Maharaj, one follow-up question on first-class men. You had mentioned for a devotee we look for spiritual qualification, not just a material qualification. But for devotee, should we look for material qualification as well, or just like that can be developed, or like how we should look
if
forward?
The person has spiritual qualifications, they, by Krishna's mercy, they will develop the material qualifications also over time, right? And if their material qualification never evolves, then they'll be replaced, because they'll make too many mistakes then. So we'll talk about that some more tomorrow. Haribol. Haribol.
Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakati Sadma
Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakati Sadma
Bando Moi Savadhana Mate
Bando Mui Savadana Mate
Jahara Prasade Bhar E Bhavatori Ajay
Janara Prasade E Bhavatori Ajare
Krishna Prapti Hai Jaha Hate
Krishna Prapti Hoya Te
Guru mukha padma vakya chite te koriya aikya.
Guru Mukha Padma Vaikya Chitya.
Arana kori hamane asha.
Arana Koriya Manea Sa.
Shri Guru Charane Rati Aise Uttamagati.
Shri Guru Charane Rati Aise Uttamagati.
Jai Prasade Pure Sarva Asha.
Ye Prasade Pure Sarva Sa.
Chatudana dilo jai janme janme Prabhu shai.
Chakshusdana dilo je janme janme Prabhu se.
Divya Gyana Rida Prakasito.
Gyan de Prakashito.
Prema Bhakti Jaha Hoite Avidya Vinasa Jate.
Prema Bhakti Jahate Avidya Vinasa Jate.
Vedigaya Jaharacha Rito.
Vedigaya Janaracharito.
Shri Guru Karuna Sindhu Adhama Janara Bandhu.
Shri Guru Charane Sindhu Adama Janara Bandhu.
Lokanata Loke Raji Vana.
Lokanata Lokera Jivana.
Prabhu Koro Doya Dehamore Pada Chaya.
Prabhu Korodoya Deo More Padachaya.
Ebeja Sagu Suktribu Vana.
Ebeya Sakusukti Bhuvana.
Prabhupada Patitapa Vana.
Ebeya Sakusukti Bhuvana.
Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada.
Pada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada.
Nama Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine.
Nama Om Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Namini Namini
Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine
Namah Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale
Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada
Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada
Jaya Gurudeva Jaya Gurudeva Jaya Gurudeva Jaya Gurudeva
Jaya Gurudeva Jaya Gurudeva Jaya Gurudeva Jaya Gurudeva
Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol
Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Pararajika Chasta Tarasaturi Shishi Shimada's Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Vedanta Koti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai Namacharya Silaridasta Kuri Ki Jai Prem Shikaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Pavarichana Dasidvaita Radha Shivasti Gaura Bhaktivedanta Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Sankunda Radha Kundi Puradan Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Mayapura Dham Ki Jai Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai Tulasi Devi Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Ganga Maya Ki Jai, Jamuna Maya Ki Jai, Samaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai, Nitai Gaura Premanandi. All glories to Sambal Devotees, all glories to Sambal Devotees, all glories to Sambal Devotees, all Glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Glories to Srila Prabhupada. Patita Pavani Ki Jai. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Vishnu. The lotus feet of our spiritual master are the only way by which we can attain to pure devotional service. I bow down to his lotus feet with great awe and reverence. By his grace, one can cross the ocean of material suffering and obtain the mercy of Krishna. My only wish is to have my consciousness purified by the words emanating from his lotus mouth. Attachment to his lotus feet is the perfection and fulfills all desires. He opens my darkened eyes and fills my heart with transcendental knowledge. He is my Lord, birth after birth. From him, ecstatic emanates. By him, ignorance is destroyed. The Vedic scriptures sing of his character. Our spiritual master is the ocean of mercy, the friend of the poor, and Lord and master of devotees. O Master, be merciful unto us. Give us the shade of your lotus feet. Your fame is spread throughout